let's start tapping.
Okay.
So you've had pain in your back for a long time?
Yes.
And when did it start?
Birth of my son.
The birth of your son. So what was the birth of your son like?
Bad.
Okay. When you say bad...
Yeah, he was born breech with, he almost died, I could have died, and 8 pound 11.
Okay, so even though I've got all this trauma around my son's birth, and it's bringing up emotion already, I accept myself deeply and completely.
I accept myself deeply and completely.
Let's just do my son's birth.
My son's birth.
The trauma of my son's birth.
The trauma of my son's birth.
I've got so much pain trapped in my back.
So much pain trapped in my back.
Around the birth of my son.
Around the birth of my son.
All this trauma.
All this trauma.
Around the birth of my son.
Around the birth of my son.
He could have died.
He could have died.
I could have died.
I could have died.
No wonder I've got all this pain in my back.
No wonder I've got all this pain in my back.
All this pain in my back.
All this pain in my back.
It's really trauma.
It's really trauma.
The trauma of my son's birth.
The trauma of my son's birth.
He could have died.
He could have died.
I could have died.
I could have died.
I've got all this trauma.
I've got all this trauma.
This breech birth.
This breech birth.
All this trauma trapped in my back.
All this trauma trapped in my back.
All this trauma of my son's birth.
All this trauma of my son's birth.
It's been trapped there for 26 years.
It's been trapped there for 26 years.
No wonder I've had all this pain.
No wonder I've had all this pain.
All this shock.
All this shock.
I've got a whole trauma capsule trapped in my back.
I've got a whole trauma capsule trapped in my back.
Around the birth of my son.
Around the birth of my son.
The birth of my son.
The birth of my son.
It was so traumatic.
It was so traumatic.
He could have died.
He could have died.
And I've got the pain in my back.
And I've got the pain in my back.
Reminding me of that.
Reminding me of that.
That trauma.
That trauma.
Trapped in my back.
Trapped in my back.
It was a breech birth.
It was a breech birth.
So much trauma trapped in my back.
So much trauma trapped in my back.
He could have died.
He could have died.
I could have died.
I could have died.
All this trauma.
All this trauma.
I can still feel it in my back.
I can still feel it in my back.
I can feel the trauma of the birth.
I can feel the trauma of my birth.
The trauma when he nearly died.
The trauma when he nearly died.
The trauma when I nearly died.
The trauma when I nearly died.
All this trauma trapped in my back.
All this trauma trapped in my back.
No wonder I've had all this pain.
No wonder I've had all this pain.
For all these years.
For all these years.
The birth trauma is still trapped there.
Birth trauma is still trapped there.
I could have died.
I could have died.
And it's still bringing up trauma.
And it's still bringing up trauma.
And sadness.
And sadness.
And emotion.
And emotion.
Because it's still trapped in my back.
Because it's still trapped in my back.
I wonder what it would be like to let it go.
I wonder what it would be like to let it go.
I don't even know if I can let it go.
I don't even know if I can let it go.
But I want to let it go.
But I want to let it go.
Letting go the trauma in my back.
Letting go the trauma in my back.
It doesn't belong trapped there.
It doesn't belong trapped there.
That trauma of my son's birth.
That trauma of my son's birth.
That breech birth.
That breech birth.
I nearly lost him.
I nearly lost him.
He nearly died.
He nearly died.
I nearly died.
I nearly died.
Releasing that trauma.
Releasing that trauma.
I felt it all in my back.
I felt it all in my back.
After all, it was a breech birth.
After all, it was a breech birth.
Releasing that pain in my back.
Releasing that pain in my back.
Letting it all go.
Letting it all go.
So take a deep breath. So see how I didn't start with a whole lot of talking. The pain and the emotion was there straight away. So it's like, let's just get straight into it. Okay. So I didn't even ask for subs. Sometimes you just go straight into it. Yeah, it was rather obvious that it was pretty big. All right. So when you're thinking about the pain in your back right now, what's that like?
It's going.
It's going already?
Yeah.
So what we could do here is also go through and do a movie technique of the birth. Knowing that we're working on the physical issue of the back. Basically, the physical issue of the back has led us to the traumatic birth. Because that's when I asked, when did it start? And, you know, it's been there for 26 years. And so let's also look at, has it got worse at times in your life?
Yes, definitely.
And what times has it got worse? Start tuning into it.
I remember one time, I can't think of anything emotional around it, I just know that I was pacing the floor and I was thinking about calling an ambulance. It was that bad.
Okay.
Because there was no one else to drive me.
Yep, so let's go to that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're thinking about that time, that memory, when you were pacing the floor and it was so bad you were thinking of calling an ambulance, there was no one there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
What's that feel like as you tune into that pain in your back? Describe the pain, it was so bad.
Yeah, I almost couldn't breathe. It hurt to breathe, it hurt to walk, it hurt to sit down,
Mm-hmm.
it hurt to be alive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, even though I've got this memory,
And
I remember pacing the floor, the pain in my back was so bad, I could hardly breathe. It hurt to breathe. It hurt to walk. It hurt to sit. It hurt to stand. It hurt to be alive. I accept myself. Deeply and completely. Even with this back pain. And this memory. I choose to release it. And let it go. It was so bad. There was no one there to help me. I felt so unsupported. I felt so unsupported. The back is the support system. There was no one there to help me. I was thinking about ringing an ambulance. The pain in my back was so bad. I can't remember what was going on in my life at the time. But I must have felt so unsupported. I was feeling it in my back. All the pain in my back. There was no one there to support me. I felt so unsupported. No wonder my back was feeling the pain. I choose to give my back all the support it needs. Even with that memory, when I was pacing the floor, I send that me all the strength it needs into her back. Feeling supported. I can support her. I choose to support her. I send her all the emotional support she needs into her back. So when you think of her back then, pacing the floor, feeling really unsupported, how's she feeling now?
I feel good.
Mm-hmm. Are you feeling any pain in your back now as you think of that?
No.
Is there any colour that you'd like to send her as well?
Keep coming up green.
Mm-hmm. And green's balance and harmony. Okay. So just close your eyes and tune into that time when you're pacing the floor. And just breathe in that green energy and send it to her, allowing her to feel balance and harmony. It's safe to be alive, sending her all that support. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, so that's a little bit of more quantum EFT, but let's just throw it in there. So when you're tuning into that person in the past that was pacing the floor, feeling unsupported, feeling like, and that wasn't her words, but I put them in there because you said stuff that led me to that.
Yeah.
And that rang true for you?
Yeah, a lot of lack of support.
Yeah.
Right from the start, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're now thinking about lack of support and feeling unsupported in your life, where else does that take you where you can actually feel that in your back?
Yep, back to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But just after he was born.
Yep.
And
Tapping.
when I first took him back home,
Mm-hmm.
my now ex wanted to send me to the grey sisters because I wasn't coping,
Mm-hmm.
but he wouldn't help.
Okay. So even though I've got these feelings of being unsupported, just after that really traumatic birth,
just after that really traumatic birth,
where My son was breech.
When my son was breech.
There was all this pain.
There was all this pain.
Trapped in my back.
Trapped in my back.
I nearly lost him.
I nearly lost him.
I nearly died too.
I nearly died too.
And then I got home.
And then I got home.
And I had no support.
I had no support.
I accept myself. Keep tapping. I accept myself, even though I had no support. Top of the head. I had no support when I got home. I had no support when I got home.
I had no support. I got home.
No support. No wonder my back was hurting.
No support. No wonder my back was hurting.
I felt no support.
I felt no support.
I was a new mum. And I needed support. And if I was there with her now, I'd send her all the support she needed. So what colour is that support you're sending her?
Pink.
Pink, yep, keep tapping. Sending her that pink support. Keep tapping. She needed so much support. I choose to give her that support.
I choose to give her that support.
That no one else was giving her.
That no one else was giving her.
Especially that ex-husband of mine.
Especially that ex-husband of mine.
He wasn't helping her at all.
He wasn't helping her at all.
But I could help her.
But I can help her.
And I choose to allow her to feel that support.
And I choose to allow her to feel that support.
As I send it to her from my heart to hers.
As I send it to her from my heart to hers.
That pink energy and support.
That pink energy and support.
And see her breathing it in.
And see her breathing it in.
And feeling that in her body.
And feeling that in her body.
And in her back.
And in her back.
Seeing her stand tall.
Seeing her stand tall.
Feeling supported.
Feeling supported.
Feeling that support.
Feeling that support.
Feeling like she can cope.
Feeling like she can cope.
Feeling supported.
Feeling supported.
Feeling that love.
Feeling that love.
Letting her know it's okay.
Letting her know it's okay.
As she's a new mum.
As she's a new mum.
At home.
At home.
Learning the ropes.
Learning the ropes.
She's doing a great job.
She's doing a great job.
And I'm supporting her all the way.
And I'm supporting her all the way.
And she can feel it.
And she can feel it.
In her back.
In her back.
Deep breath. So, okay, I'm throwing in quantum EFT. Kill me for it. So what we're doing now is really working with the time then, but from now sending her the energy. So when you think about back then with her in that time, just coming home from hospital after a breech birth and not feeling supported, is she feeling differently now?
Yeah, there's no tears, so that's a good monitor with me.
And tuning into your back now, what's that feeling like?
Yeah, it's great. It's okay.
Is that unusual?
Yes.
Oh damn, how can we bring that pain back? Is there another time that you can think of having that pain? I mean, you've had it for 26 years, you must be able to bring it back just like that.
As I said, I tuned out a lot. I live day to day, and as soon as yesterday's gone, that's it. Today's a new day.
Let's go.
So,
even though I've always tuned out,
even though I've always tuned out,
it's not safe to tune into my body.
It's not safe to tune into my body.
It only hurts me.
It only hurts me.
It makes me feel pain.
It makes me feel pain.
What if that's not the case?
What if that's not the case?
I apologise to my body.
I apologise to my body
for not listening to it.
For not listening to it.
And let my body know.
And let my body know.
That I'll listen to the whispers now.
That I'll listen to the whispers now.
And it doesn't have to yell at me anymore.
It doesn't have to yell at me anymore.
I'm there to support my body.
I'm there to support my body.
And my body's there to support me.
And my body's there to support me.
And I'm in partnership with it.
And I'm in partnership with it.
And I accept myself.
And I accept myself.
And my body.
And my body.
Deeply and completely.
Deeply and completely.
I'm making friends with my body.
I'm making friends with my body.
And I'm going to talk to it a lot more.
I'm going to talk to it a lot more.
And I'm going to listen a lot more.
I'm going to listen a lot more.
And I don't have to fight with it.
And I don't have to fight with it.
Especially my back.
Especially my back.
I'm listening to my back.
I'm listening to my back.
And if it's ever feeling unsupported.
And if it's ever feeling unsupported.
I'm going to find the support I need.
I'm going to find the support I need.
And I'm going to give it to myself.
And I'm going to give it to myself.
Because I deserve to feel supported.
Because I deserve to feel supported.
So how does that feel?
Feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very good.
Okay. Any other time in your life that stands out when you felt, you can remember feeling in a lot of pain with your back?
No, I think those are the major ones.
Okay. So we'll leave it there for now. What you could do is do a whole movie technique of the actual birth and go through all the aspects of it and clear it up completely.
Mm-hmm.
But what we've done is a great percentage of the work because we've tuned into those, to a couple of those, but you can go through it a lot more thoroughly, aspect by aspect. But before, just thinking about going to the birth would have been huge and horrific, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas right now there's no